What's good, everybody? Welcome to the Pull Up Show. I'm your host, Mr. BJ Matthews, aka B. Just before we get started, follow us on the YouTube page, the Pull Up Basketball Podcast. Like, share, subscribe all of our YouTube videos. Hit that like button. Y'all coming here. Hit the share, subscribe. Hit that Cash App. $ Slick Rick 1991 Son. $Slick Rick 1991 Son is our Cash App. Venmo at BJ/MATGWS/1 as our Venmo, as well as if you guys do not have either one of those, go to our super stickers and super comments that are available. Very simple. Right there in the chat box in the bottom right hand corner, you guys can hit that $ symbol. And you can show your love by hitting that and donate to the Pull Up Basketball Podcast at your own discretion for this great content that we drop on a daily, weekly, monthly, yearly basis. Let's get it popping. All right. So let's talk about it, man. Another milestone was made from another great all-time player. And y'all see the title right there, Russell Westbrook inspired an entire generation. We're going to talk about that. But this is a pre-recorded video. I want to speak to y'all regarding the game that just happened this tonight. It's going to be dropping on in the morning with this video. But Russell Westbrook and the Denver Nuggets won this game 122 to 107 in Memphis, defeating them. They are now, I think, 8-6, if I'm not mistaken, 8 or 6 and 9-6, one of the two. They're top 6 in the Western Conference. No Nikola Jokic, no Aaron Gordon. They were able to defeat the Memphis Grizzlies in Memphis. I think, were missing Ja Morant and Zach Edey, but for the most part, they have their entire team. Outside of them too. So we got to, talk about it. Russell Westbrook has now reached history as having 200 triple doubles in a season for his whole career. And I want to, first of all, give my, my respect to Russell Westbrook. Not just off the, triple doubles that he, is able to carry, but I think when you have a person that's been able to do something for so long for a period of time, people get a little bit spoiled by, y'all have heard me say this before in the past with certain people like greatness, LeBron James, who's been in the league for over 20 years, and people think it's kind of just like no big deal that he's still playing at a level going on 40 years old that we ain't seen before. Now, that in itself, who've been able to watch LeBron James since he came into the league knows how remarkable that is. But for the average fan or the casual fan or the person that's never been between the lines, we have to, really worry about taking his conditioning seriously and staying in shape and being able to, be on the court. They can't relate, right? But when it comes to, Russell Westbrook and, averaging 200 triple doubles for his whole entire career, that's something even the casual fan can even appreciate. Now, Russell Westbrook had 22 points, 10 rebounds, and 14 assists in the victory over the Memphis Grizzlies tonight. So him getting 200 triple doubles, let me just read some of the names off on this list that he's in, prime company over right now. Oscar Robertson, Magic Johnson, Nikola Jokic, LeBron James, Jason Kidd, Wilt Chamberlain, James Harden, Luka Doncic, and Domantas Sabonis. 10 players on this list with the most triple doubles in the regular season all time. Russell Westbrook leads them with 200. Just off the names off this list, the first 7, right? The first 7 are all Hall of Fame players. The bottom 3 are considered going to be, all-stars, all-time greats. Even Domantas Sabonis is a borderline all-star player. You got Oscar Robertson, Mr. Triple-Double. You got Magic Johnson, who's arguably the best point guard of all time. Nikola Jokic is a top 10, top 15 center of all time. You got LeBron James, who is a top 5 player of all time. Some people even regard him as the GOAT. Jason Kidd, all-time great point guard, top 5, arguably. Wilt Chamberlain, arguably the best scorer of all time. You know what I'm saying? All these players that y'all see on this list, Russell Westbrook has an edge over. Now, this is his 16th season, right? Some of these players have played longer than him. Some of these players, most of them play shorter than him. So I'm going to kind of go through Russell Westbrook in a nutshell, kind of highlighting some things about who he is as a player. As y'all come in and smash his like button, because it's going to be such a good one for y'all to actually, tap into. First off, when I say Russell Westbrook has inspired a generation, I'm talking to the people who are from ages, I would say 18 to about 35, 18 about 30 years old, if that may, be a little bit better. Um, First off, the triple double stat is something that was foreign to the modern day NBA up until Russell Westbrook came into the scene. Now you look at the triple double as something that's pretty you know it's pretty reasonable to get now in this day's NBA because of how defenses play, the players, how more possessions are into the games, and more fast break, less defense. A lot of players can get triple doubles nowadays if they dominate the ball enough. But the guy on the screen that y'all looking at is kind of the person that's the face of what y'all seeing from Luka Doncic and Domantas Sabonis and James Harden. You know what I'm saying? Nikola Jokic. These guys are kind of taken away from what Russell Westbrook brought for 3 straight seasons. The triple double stat. Let me show y'all what I'm talking about real quick. So if you look at the numbers right here on the far right hand corner, we go from 2016-17 to 2018-19. 3 of his last seasons, Oklahoma City averaged a triple-double in all 3 of those seasons, meaning he was able to have double digits in the points, rebounds, and assists for 3 straight years, right? From 2016-17 all the way to 2018-19, he averaged a triple-double for every season. Now, Oscar Robertson was the face of the triple-double, getting it for 1 year. This man, Russell Westbrook, was able to get it for 3 straight seasons. Now, again, you got players nowadays who's getting that triple-double stat, pretty frequently in a more physical NBA, more offense, less defense. So it's a little bit more like it's kind of reasonable to get now. But back in, the mid 2000s or the mid 2010s and, before that, it was kind of something that was a little foreign. So you're talking about a guy, Russell Westbrook, who was making history even back then, which is why I think he got his MVP for the first time in 2017, just off of getting that triple-double number, right? So there's a lot to say about that. It's a lot to say about Russell Westbrook, the player, and what he means to the NBA. First of all, you can't write a history book without Russell Westbrook in it. You can't write a history book without, his accomplishments and who he is as a player. First off, the triple doubles is great. It's definitely, a remarkable thing. But let's talk about some of the things that he's even able to do on the basketball court for his, a long period of time. First off, Russell Westbrook is 36 years old. He's in his 16th season in the NBA. And still he's able to run, jump, and move as fast as any other point guard who is in his early to late 20s and early 30s. I'm going to say that again. Russell Westbrook at age 36 years old in his 16th season is as fast, as explosive, and strong than any other point guard from their early 20s up into their late 20s and the early 30s. That in itself is what you call a transcendent athlete. Russell Westbrook is arguably the most athletic point guard that we've ever seen, next to Derrick Rose and John Wall and John Morant. Those 4 guys are in company by themselves, right? A lot of players have molded their game behind Russell Westbrook, especially in his prime in OKC, right? They modeled their game behind Russell Westbrook, his tenacity, how hard he plays, his athleticism. He's a fan favorite for many people. Just look at him and how he plays basketball. Especially in my era, he got a lot of love amongst the younger people and even some of the older crowd. You're gonna, if you're gonna watch Russell Westbrook, you're gonna get your, ticket, felt if you're a fan. He's gonna not cheat you he's not gonna cheat you. He's gonna, give out full effort, which is another thing that's, something to be admirable about. But just off of his, his ability to, be able to be in shape that long and be able to be that explosive as he is something that, you can't really, pinpoint, because like I just mentioned with LeBron James, there's certain accusations about him being on certain things, enhancements to, have him get where he's at on the basketball court at age 40 years old. I'm not going to say what it is because I don't want to get, copyrighted or striked or whatever, but you all know what I'm talking about with LeBron. Russell Westbrook, you don't have those accusations. You don't have those, those type of, thoughts in your head that he's actually doing something where it's actually giving him a little bit of an edge, other than, being quote unquote just naturally gifted and working out hard, just hard old fashioned work. So you got to give Russell Westbrook that amount of respect, and also acknowledge that he is not the average human. This man still is running and jumping and out strengthening about 90-95% of the point guards in the NBA. I mentioned that last week on my, media narrative video, which I'm going to talk to y'all a little bit about in a minute. But just the triple-double stat in itself, this man's going to go down as, he's already a top 75 player. He's going to go down as one of the Hall of Famers of all time. That's what he is going to go down as. Now, let me speak to y'all where I think that a lot of people who have been, fed from, a certain media pundit about Russell Westbrook and what he's been, they forget just how, how much he meant to the generation before. Now, Skip Bayless, ever since Russell Westbrook came to the Lakers back in 2021 and 2022, Russell Westbrook's career actually went down, where, he started to get more, scrutiny, and a lot of people looked at Russell Westbrook, called him Russell Westbrook, and he wasn't, as respected amongst his, the fan bases as, he previously was, because of, one person, that's Skip Bayless. From the blooper reels, from the certain shots that he took at him, and, the daily amount of shaming he did to Russell Westbrook at an all-time high, it has clouded a lot of people's thinking to see Russell Westbrook was not ever part of, any great basketball. He was just, never a generational player, this, that, and the other. And you have to ask yourself, why Skip Bayless continuously ragged on Russell Westbrook. And it comes out that Russell Westbrook and Skip Bayless have some type of a feud. All right, so I'm going to read y'all a little short piece right here. So it says, Skip Bayless claims Thunder fans sent him death threats for Russell Westbrook criticism. I'm going to go into y'all real briefly of why Skip Bayless has a little bit of a beef, not even a little bit of personal beef with Russell Westbrook. And he actually exposed himself with these, certain quotes. It says Skip Bayless has a tumultuous relationship with the OKC Thunder. I'm going to go actually right here. It says Bayless was the co-host of ESPN's First Take at the time. And on numerous instances that season, he criticized then OKC guard Russell Westbrook for taking too many shots away from Kevin Durant. This is where it starts, ends, and begins for Skip Bayless. That this beef has started, over a decade ago, of why he basically made it his mission to make a mockery out of Russell Westbrook to this day. He says, I'm going to be very clear about this. Bayless said in February 2012, my Oklahoma City Thunder are now blessed to have this man. I think who has turned into the best player in the NBA, Kevin Durant, who is not blessed to be partnered with a point guard, Westbrook, who routinely brings up the ball and routinely chooses to shoot more shots than the superstar. I'm going to say this again. This is a postseason recipe for disaster. Now, if you guys are old enough to remember, Skip Bayless is from Oklahoma City. And of course, Oklahoma City has one team, that's the Thunder. So when you deal with people who have one team, or they have one, organization that they root for, and they're from a city, they have nothing else to root for but that team, they're pretty proud about it, and they actually take it a step further with their fandom. So him growing up in Oklahoma City, the Thunder being his team, and then having such a very talented team back then, Kevin Durant was his favorite player, and Russell Westbrook, he felt, was taking away his shine, and, made a mockery out of him and spoke very, very ill of Russell Westbrook, around around that time. So then things started getting a little bit more serious. And it says right here, Skip Bayless had a bodyguard after criticism of Russell Westbrook. Bayless claimed he received so many death threats from the Thunder fans due to his criticism of Westbrook, who is still beloved to this day. And when First Take is held its show in Oklahoma City for the first 2 games of the championship series against Miami, Bayless hired a bodyguard as a result. He said, "How can I root for that team?" Bayless said on Thursday, "When I got to go to Oklahoma City, I was rooting for me to survive the first 2 games. Bodyguard with me 24/7." Right? OKC ultimately suffered a 4-1 series loss in Miami. Although the Thunder earned a 105-94 win in Game 1, Bayless returned to his downtown hotel after the game and told his security guard he was fine with taking the elevator up to the 7th floor of his room alone. All right. So I'm reading this because this is the man responsible who took it upon himself to try to take down Russell Westbrook's career. And as he mentioned, it's personal with him. I always thought it was a little bit strange how this dude decided to, go on his show, which is called ESPN Undisputed, and try to make a mockery out of a guy who doesn't pay no attention to him, who doesn't think about him, who doesn't go out his way to tweet him on Twitter, but he goes out of his way to throw blooper reel and blooper reel together and, get some attention, for him, to the point where now you have people constantly calling him out, and Skip Bayless losing his show on Undisputed. That's why you have to watch how you treat people, because you can be digging your own grave. Now Skip Bayless is having his own podcast that nobody pays attention to on YouTube, and he's actually, stepped on a lot of people he had really no business stepping on. But that's for another story. My point is that because of people like this, it has clouded the judgment of other people of how they can appreciate somebody, when they're talking to Russell Westbrook. But not to worry. We have another all-time great player who actually spoke about Russell Westbrook in light and actually putting things in perspective, how he should be remembered. So I'm going to let y'all hear from, another great, player right now. But
how many similarities do you see between you and Russell Westbrook?
A ton. I mean, I didn't smile much on the court either, but he plays the game with such an energy and such an aggressiveness. I think that needs to be appreciated. I mean, he's not out there trying to be cute with the basketball. He's not out there trying to make friends. I mean, these guys are playing hard every time down. And it takes a lot of energy to be able to do that. And he just never seems to run out of it.
How many?
So that is the great Kobe Bryant, the late great Kobe Bryant, speaking on Russell Westbrook. As y'all come here, hit that like button. Now, the reason why I bring up this clip is because I think a lot of people forget Russell Westbrook has a lot of allies amongst the NBA circles and the NBA field. Not just his fan base, but he has a lot of people in the NBA who actually really spoke lavishly about him. And Kobe Bryant was one of his biggest supporters. And Kobe Bryant was a guy that Russell Westbrook, he mentored Russell Westbrook amongst a lot of other great people. Let me tell you something about Kobe. He's not going to waste time mentoring people that he doesn't feel like have any greatness to them or doesn't want to be great. But because of these similarities between him and Russell Westbrook that y'all just mentioned, he took the time to not just mentor him, but also, defend him if, he felt like the media or certain people were choosing to come at him. And it's pretty like understanding why, because you see, for a lot of people who can't really relate to the game other than stats and analytics, they try to put their 2 cents into what it means to be a real basketball player, that they condemn people who are like, quote unquote, the most analytical players that they're watching because they don't shoot over 50% from the field, or, they don't have the perfect, plus minus and, PER and all those advanced analytics that only make people who never played feel a part of the game. That's really the truth. They tend to talk down to him. Kobe Bryant was actually another person. You guys used to hear all about efficiency really until Kobe Bryant came to the scene, right? He don't shoot over 40. He don't shoot over 50%. He's inefficient. You know, he's a ball hog, he's a shot chucker, this, that, and the other. You had a lot of people who are stat geeks who used to say stuff like this because they couldn't understand just how impactful Kobe Bryant is with the eye test. If you had to play against him or play with him, you'll see his impact, his winning intangibles, right? You can't measure that. And that's where analytics only go so far with me. But I'll get back to the point. Kobe made it a point to defend Russell Westbrook and say he has a lot of the same similarities as I do. And that right there should tell you just about how great, you know, he is and how much of a mark he left on his generation. Again, with the people that I actually read off on that list, let me show y'all one more time who's on this list right here. You got 5 great Hall of Fame players right on the same company with Russell Westbrook that he's sharing. Right? Oscar Robertson, Magic Johnson, Nikola Jokic, and LeBron James. And even under that, you got Jason Kidd, Will Chamberlain, James Harden, Luka Doncic, and Domantas Sabonis. So, you know, this whole thing about him stat padding and, you know, him trying to stat pad his stats, as I told y'all before, everybody wants to throw their 2 cents in who ain't never did it. So, if he's stat padding his stats, why ain't everybody else doing it? And if he's really that type of player, then you got to call everybody on his list stat patters. You got to call Oscar Robertson a stat patter. You got to call Magic Johnson a stat patter. Nikola Jokic a stat patter. Jason Kidd a stat patter. LeBron James a stat patter. Wilt Chamberlain a stat patter. James Harden, Luka Doncic, Domantas Sabonis. You got to call all these guys stat patters if you're going to call Russell Westbrook a stat patter. But call it what you want to call it. It still takes an amount of greatness to be able to have these type of accomplishments. And it takes a level of greatness to be able to maintain this for a certain period of time. You know, people got, you know, all this stuff about, you know, Russell Westbrook don't do this, he can't do that. He's a terrible shooter, even though in his heyday, he was shooting about 80% from the field, from the free throw line, you know, shooting over 45% from the field. That was a constant thing for Russell Westbrook. The energy that he plays with is very similar to a guy named Giannis Antetokounmpo, right? Who was another player he inspired, Nikola Jokic, and you got, you know, Luka Doncic and Domantas Sabonis and all these great players who came after him that people marvel over these triple doubles. This is the guy that set the standard. This is the guy that set the standard time in, time out. And let me tell you something else. As great as he is, because he's averaging 21 points, 7 assists, and around 7 rebounds a game, 7 assists and 8 rebounds a game. That's his career statistics as a point guard. As a point guard, he's averaging those numbers. So he's making his imprint on every player, every possession. Now, I'm going to close it off with this. Russell Westbrook is a person and a player. If you really play basketball for a certain period of time, I've been playing for over 20 years or watching over 20 years. You appreciate his greatness and what he's brought to the table. And it's just a remarkable feat what he's done. And you gotta give him all this, you know, praise and respect. So salute to Russell Westbrook. And you know, for the casuals that's, you know, constantly taking shots and, you know, don't have any understanding what greatness looks like. I feel sorry for you. I feel bad for you because you have to be there to witness, you know, what he was able to do and what he did on the basketball court. No, he did not win a championship, but like I said just before, a lot of great players have not won championships. It can only be one winner every single year, and for the most part, 95% of players are not going to win a championship. So you can throw Russell Westbrook in that company, but also he's in a company where he's not even 5% in, which is top 75 player of all time. You got to throw him in that company too. And I'll leave it at that. Pull up, see, pull up, check, pull up. Peace. Out of here like swimwear.